Good morning, evening, afternoon, good, whatever time of day you are watching this. I'm Jessi, and today I will be reading Words of Radiance, Part 5. So actually I've already started, my bookmark's in the wrong spot, but I have already started. But this time it wasn't my fault. I was like, I'll just read like a chapter or half a chapter on my way home. And then I ran into some trouble on my way home. Yeah, it really wasn't my fault, so I ended up reading 3 chapters. I am at the start of chapter 79, I think. Let me double check that before I... Okay, sorry. Anyway, so I've read, some odd pages. Anyway, 3 chapters. Golly, so much has already happened. I don't even know what to talk about because like it's just so much, but so little at the same time. Let me just skim through. Lopin might be my new favorite of Bridge 4. Look, Rock's always gonna hold a fond place in my heart, but there's something about Lopin's attitude, or maybe it's just the way that he said what's wrong with being a woman to Kaladin. Of course, the fact that Kaladin's immediate thought was, what a joke, worries me. Anyway, there's just moments where Sanderson almost undercuts his own message, or maybe that's not the right way to put it because I don't know if it's necessarily his message, but there's the whole scene with Kaladin interacting with Moash. And I'm trying to remember what about that bothered me specifically. But he's talking to Moash about how it's the wrong thing to try to kill the king. And Moash and Kaladin talks about like, is this on, I have my necklace on backwards today? I do. I have it on backwards today. Anyway, and Kaladin talks about how it's not right for them, that he thinks the like issue is he lost Syl because of this assassination plan, and let me find the exchange because like there was something about it when I was listening to it on the car ride home that was just really bugging me. And I want to make sure I'm getting it right before I like talk to you about it. Oh yeah, because Kaladin says something about like sometimes you have to do the wrong thing. He's like, Amaram just told me that, and anyway, it's just a very long story to say that like I think sometimes Sanderson seems to be making the argument against a lot of critical race theory. And I don't know if it's intentional or not. And I just don't understand how much of that he's trying to put into it. Like, he obviously created an allegory of fantasy racism, right? Between the light eyes and the dark eyes. And it's just like he's not quite following through on it, or he's trying to present a middle ground. And it just doesn't always land well. That's the point. The specific example doesn't matter, but that was the point. Shallan's getting more authority. Navani finally is like acknowledging her, which is like, good, my girl deserves it. Kaladin's getting real jealous of Shallan and Adolin, and I think the way we're supposed to read that is like, he's just jealous because they're happy. I'm gonna sit there and read it as he's jealous because he's in love with both of them. That's fine, right? That's the way to read that? Anyway, even though they're both a little bit racist, so maybe, hopefully we'll figure that one out. Dalinar still bugs the bejeebus out of me. He's so much, I mean, good for him on finally figuring out what Amaram was up, actually trusting Kaladin enough to like do a little bit of research into it. I love that so much. So that's great, like that he fired Amaram, good for him. Maybe a little bit short-sighted. Everything Dalinar does is a little bit short-sighted. But that's okay, because Amaram's a dick. And then I'm not sure Shallan revealed what she is. She also revealed what Yasna is, and I still don't think Yasna's dead, so Yasna might be a little pissed about that. I think I'll believe Syl's dead before I believe Yasna's dead at this point. Not happy about either one, but I'll believe it more. And Yeah, I think that about covers it. I'm excited to see where it goes. Josh, who I'm reading this with, like, devoured part 5. Like, I was like, it's taking me a little while to get through part 4. I'm almost done. Go ahead, you can start part 5 because we're reading together. And literally, I was like, wow, I finished part 4. I just have the interludes to do. And he's like, I finished part 5 today. And I was like, so, there's that. But it's like, I don't know, a couple hundred pages. I should be able to get through it in a couple days. Maybe by the end of the week, we'll see. Actually not this week, 'cause it's finals week, but maybe in like 2 weeks I'll be done with it, hopefully. But that's where we're at. And I'll update you the next time when I have a little bit more to tell you about. I'm back and much further. Oh, dang it. When I read with audiobook, I'm really bad about never moving my bookmark. Let me figure out where I'm at now. Chapter 83. Ooh, map. So I read a little bit more. Chapter 83. I do want to talk about, I think part of what's bugging me about the Moash thing is Moash. The eyes changing color. That's what's bugging me, or one of the things that's bugging me. I was thinking about this where was I thinking about this? In the car the other day, after I'd updated you. So, let me think if I can try to explain this. The light eyes, dark eyes dichotomy seems to be a metaphor for racism. And I think that's pretty clear. Like, it's a visible difference, it's something you can't control, it's a product of your birth, yada, yada, yada. And the entire society is set up on the system where you can only advance so far. Like, it's a very extreme form of it, but a lot of it, right? And Moash gets the shard blade, which makes him a light eyes. And like, it's not just like, I think what Sanderson might be trying to do here is fold in different kinds of privilege, right? And there are things you can do as a person of color to advance yourself. They're just really, really hard, right? And so the idea here is that if you get a shard blade, you're advancing yourself to the elevation of a light eyes. And I think that's fine. But I think having his eyes change color so he literally becomes a light eyes kind of muddles that metaphor, right? Because you could add in elements of like, you still have a certain level of privilege because of wealth, so he gets a lot of wealth, right? And there could be that element of it, or your position in society. Like, you can add in a different layer of privilege and then still keep in the like dark eyes, light eyes dichotomy where people still view him differently. And I think that's the idea they're going for, is that like people are still going to look down on Moash because he was a dark eyes, but now he's a light eyes. And I think there's something there that's just bugging me, and I cannot possibly explain well. I don't think the words are coming across well to explain what's bugging me about that. But it's just that idea that like he has become a light eyes, and it's not just like and there's still things about like the way he was raised and his culture that are going to influence him, the trauma he's experienced in his past that's going to influence how he sees things and how he reacts and how people react to him. But he's lost that visible marker, and I think if this was done in a much, 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 much more nuanced way, it could be doing something with like colorism or being able to pass. But that's not it, because it's not like he's a light eyes born to a dark eyes family, right? Because that would be something different. Or there's just something there that's like, it's not quite lining up quite right to make this like metaphor work. And obviously it's not a one-to-one, and I'm not expecting it to be one-to-one, but it's just kind of something there is bugging me, and I know I'm not conveying it well. Let's just leave that aside and move on to plot stuff. I think I've spent far too much time at this point talking about Brandon Sanderson's wishy-washy kind of metaphor for racism. So things going on, they have started their assault. So they were like lining up, the captain's kind of, I love how much control Charlotte has. She just like barges into the general tent and is like, this is what we're doing, guys. This is what I need you to do for me. Bless her. This is where I was like, at the beginning, I know I was worrying about like her being arrogant, because there was that moment on the ship where she was starting to feel like really arrogant and kind of wow, was that really the beginning of this book? Wow. And I'm glad that like she's kind of now finding that balance where she can lead and she knows she's in charge and she knows she has control of the situation, but she's not being a jerk about it. So I'm glad she's finding that. But so they, you know, kind of just do it, and they like planned this like very coordinated assault, but then the Parshendi start singing, the listeners start singing, and oh bless when what's his real name? Shen, too many people have too many names. What was his name? Relaine. Relaine was like just a sweetheart, like showing up and being like, these people took me in, they treated me well, I'm gonna pay them back. Just kind of shows what happens when you treat people like people instead of objects. Anyway, I still have an issue with this, like, anyway, that said, so like he's like, guys, we gotta stop this, and and so they like, Dalinar attacks immediately. Shallan's like freaking out. I do not trust this scribe that's like trying to take control from her. I don't trust her at all. The one that's like, we gotta go now, let's do this. She's trying to, don't trust that. Meanwhile, Kaladin has finally come to his senses about Elhokar. That moment where he's like thinking about, like, he's comparing what he's doing to Elhokar to what was happening with Tien. That like, it wasn't his fault, right? Like, you're making mistakes, that doesn't make it your fault. Like, yes, you could do better, blah, blah, blah. I don't think it's definitely not a perfect one-to-one. And I hope maybe some of that nuance is going to be brought in there, because there is stuff that Elhokar did that was absolutely his fault. Although, yes, it's better to hold the person more directly responsible, and like, yeah, Elhokar did some crappy things. And definitely there's like that element. It's the same thing I have with like with Adolin and Dalinar, of like, just because you're not bad doesn't mean you're good, right? And I just because you're not actively treating your slaves like they're poop doesn't mean you're not still owning slaves. You know, it's that. Anyway, so Elhokar has definitely done some bad things, but like that realization that like that doesn't mean he deserves to die, I think was really good. And so like now we're at the point where there's gonna be some sort of confrontation between Cal and Moash, because Cal decided to defend the king, and Moash is like, well, we're still doing this. So that'll be interesting. And obviously I'm pretty sure this is gonna make like Syl show back up, because like he's doing the right thing, and it'll probably be at like a pivotal moment in the battle where Kaladin, who's like injured and has a spear going against the guy with a shard plate and shard blade, isn't gonna work out. Plus I think there's the other guys that Moash brought with him for the assassination. Like, it's not gonna go well, but I'm thinking it'll be like a critical moment in the fight, and then Syl's gonna show back up, and well, bam, Kaladin's gonna save Elhokar, but he's gonna kill Moash, and it's gonna be this like moment of like conflict, because I killed my friend to save this guy I kind of hate. But maybe it'll change Elhokar. Like, Elhokar legitimately seems like he wants to do good. He's whiny as can be. He doesn't deserve the position he's in, and he's terrible at it. But like, he also kind of like, Elhokar knows he's bad. Like, there's a self-awareness to him that I like honestly kind of respect. And so he listens to the people that he should. Like, he leans on Dalinar for help. He listens to Kaladin. He goes to Kaladin and is like, hey, I suck. Can you help me suck less? Like, I don't know. There's something in there that I kind of respect. Like, I don't know. Do I like Elhokar now? I don't want to like Elhokar, but I kind of like him a little bit. Certainly like him more than Dalinar. I'm perfect and can do no wrong. Colin. Anyway, that's it for now. I will maybe... Honestly, all right, let's be honest here. I probably won't update you again till the end. Here's what I think. Here's what I might try to do. I think I will update you one more time. I'm gonna try my darndest to update you one more time before the end, and I'll let you get my live reaction to like the last like 2 chapters. That's my plan. Whether that works out or not, we shall see. But I'll see you soon. Finished chapter 87. I'll do the live recording for the end, but I don't know how much of my reaction, because I feel like the climax happens like 5 chapters before the end, because so much. Okay, Syl came back. I mean, I saw that coming, obviously. But golly, she came back in just the most delightful, wonderful way, like arguing with a literal god, or I don't know what. I mean, like, he's his friend too, so I guess it's not that, but like, I don't know, to be like, I'm gonna support Cal, he's doing the right thing. Adorable. I was chatting with like the friend I'm reading with, plus like Rid's Discord server, about this kind of like live reaction stuff, and there's just so much. Then Kaladin showed up, saved Dalinar. Adolin tried to fight Seth again. Somebody get that boy something. Kaladin killed Seth. I mean, like, it seemed a little too easy, but also, like, Seth kind of wanted to die, so, you know, maybe that's the last we've seen of him, maybe not. But they have his blade now, and Kaladin has it, and I'm wondering if he's gonna give it to Adolin or Dalinar. I kind of hope he gives it to Adolin, just because, like, I can't. There's, like, that whole moment Dalinar was like, I bequeath you everything, my son, and, like, I was like, Sanderson, could you just, like, not even tease me with Dalinar dying? Because, like, please. Also, like, some stuff with Shallan. Shallan's kind of point of view at the end here kind of got a little, like, meh, because, you know, there's big, exciting stuff going on, and she's just opening a door. Also, Renarin's doing crazy stuff. I wonder if, like, the epigraphs during part 5 here have been Renarin's ramblings, because that's certainly what it sounded like at the end there. This has been all over the place, but there's just a lot that has happened. And yeah, I just, yeah, things are crazy. But yeah, I kind of hope Kaladin gives that blade to, yeah, I think Adolin. I'm trying to think if there's other people that would be noble or good enough for it. Maybe a member of Bridge 4. I kind of thought maybe. Why are they so loud? I thought maybe Relaine, but I don't know if he would if he would even want it. Give it to Rock, it just wouldn't be used, which is like fine. Like, I trust Rock. Give it to Lopin, but speaking of Lopin, first off, stashing the king with the Lopin's mom. Brilliant. But also the Lopin, God, that like catches on so quickly. The Lopin, it just sounds right. Anyway, the whole, like, I don't know how I feel about him becoming a Radiant. Feels a little weird. Feels a little unnecessary. Maybe it'll work out. But like, especially like his arm regrowing. Look, I had a lot of issues with a lot of things. And to have like a disabled character become undisabled because of magic, isn't that kind of not a great plan? But also, like, why? Like, Kaladin hasn't been able to undo his brand since he started. Like, whack. We'll see what actually happens with that, because obviously, like, maybe there's more. But yeah, a little whack. And then, what was the other bit? There was something else with, similar, Kaladin has light eyes now too, and it's just, maybe something will come out of this, but like, one, like, Kaladin thinks, like, the whole reason the light eyes think they're better than dark eyes is because they're the ones that are descendants from the Radiance or whatever, and it's like, this kind of gives proof to that. Now, obviously, it doesn't mean they have a right to rule over anybody, but also, like, I don't know if they're justifying it, like, we're the ones descended from gods or chosen by God, and it turns out that's right. It's a little iffy. But also, like, I feel like you're undermining your racism metaphor by having, like, a way for people to, like, legitimately change race. Just something about that's uneasy with me. We'll see how it goes. I'm sure there'll be an explanation, but I'm gonna get back to this. I'm gonna wait, like, another, like, 20-ish minutes before I start like recording, so I don't have like 80 minutes to comb through, but yeah, I'm almost to the end. First, some of my earlier reactions were not for the content of the book, but the mistakes between audio. Night Blood. So excited. Sorry, my baby. Finished. That was a lot. I'm not gonna update you now because it's like almost bedtime for me. Boy, was there just a lot. A lot. Quick sum up of the important stuff. Told you Yasna wasn't dead. Yuck, Sadius, Adolin, maybe that wasn't the best choice, but oh well. Dalinar's radiant, whatever. Although, bonding, like, the Stormfather himself, bold move. And Renarin too, fascinating. I'm not opposed, wasn't quite what I saw working out for him, but I like it. So that means we actually have 6, if Lopen is one. And I think there's 8 total, so who else? I think Adolin, maybe? Although I kind of love the idea that like everybody in his life becomes super powerful and there's just baby Adolin making it through. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. But that's that. Like I said, I will give you some deeper thoughts tomorrow at some point after I've had some time to sit on it. Alright, I've given myself a few days to think on this, and I don't know what I'm gonna say. Ben and I are recording our Words of Radiance episode tonight, and I don't know what to say. I think I've kind of at this point summed up my feelings. I still don't like Dalinar. He's still self-righteous. He's still sanctimonious. There's just something, there's an arrogance about him that I just can't get over. I was talking to my friend about it and I compared him. I was like, he's like book 14 Rand, where it's like, I'm right and you guys are going to listen to me. And no, I'm not necessarily going to explain to you how I know I'm right or why I'm right or what the benefit of following me is, but you're going to follow me because I'm right and you know I'm right, right? Like, that's very Dalinar to me. And that's just not an attitude I like. Adolin has grown on me. He's sweet. He's much better now that he's like settled down with Shallan. Like, he's not pursuing women anymore, so I don't got to deal with that. And really, honestly, that has improved his character immeasurably. But also, like, just him getting off of his leash and not being, like, forced into Dalinar's shadow so much better. Kaladin, I think, suffered a little bit in this book in just that, like, even though we're given that, like, he goes through this whole character arc in Words of Radiance, which is, like, good for him, his story was just very in the background. And Shallan, other than the racism, because she's very racist, she's that insidious kind of racist. Other than that, though, I love her even more now than I did before. She's fantastic. But also definitely gonna get herself into some trouble. My girl Yasna's still alive. I honestly have no idea what Hoyt is up to, quite frankly. It honestly half seems like he's just there along for the ride. And yeah, I think that just about covers everything. I definitely like this much more than Way of Kings. I think having the characters already established, having an actual conflict established, just made this a much better book. So that's good. And we're on to Oathbringer, which I'd show you, but it's over there. I'm curious about this one. I know this is Dalinar's story. that we're gonna get, and I am convinced it's either going to make me hate him beyond measure because we learned something about his story that, one of two things, these are my predictions. I have 3 ways that Oathbringer could go. I think there is a small chance that we are given enough of Dalinar's backstory and Dalinar in the present grows enough that I start to love him. There is a slim chance of that. More likely, I think whatever we learn in Dalinar's backstory is just going to cement for me that I hate him. And I think it's going to be one of 2 things. Either Sanderson attempts to put something in Dalinar's backstory that the reader is supposed to feel bad for Dalinar and understand why Dalinar's the way he is. And it's going to backfire. It's going to be like, oh, boo-hoo, get over yourself. Or it's like he's actively terrible and we're supposed to like compare what he is in the past to what he is in the present and be like, good job, Dalinar, you've grown, and like feel sympathy for him for that reason. And it's still not going to work because I'm going to be like, great, you're less racist or you're less of an awful person. So that's my thoughts on that. We'll see how that goes. Happy to be wrong about Renarin. Or even happier down the road I'm right about him. I'm still curious where Kaladin does with this blade that he got from Seth because we haven't gotten that. It's not going to go to Dalinar now, so maybe Adolin. Although, I gotta be honest with you, I love if Adolin just never gets any special ability. I mean, he has a shard blade and a shard blade, but that's it. Maybe he even stops using his shard blade because of the torture it causes to Spren. I would love it, quite frankly, if he's just that ordinary person among all these superheroes, because that's hilarious to me. I can't wait till Shalin and Kaladin kiss. Really can't wait till Kaladin and Adolin kiss, because come on. Honestly, if they don't, I mean, what are you doing, Sanderson? Anyway, those are my thoughts. And I guess that's it. Make sure you click like if you enjoyed this video, leave a comment, let me know what you think so far, what is your opinion on Words of Radiance, and make sure you hit subscribe so you see when I start uploading my Oathbringer reading diaries. Okay, bye.